So my big takeaway from Creativation, Simon Hurley, number 1, and number 2, the foil quill pen from We Are. So if you haven't checked that out yet, you definitely want to check that out as well. It works with most, like Cricut, Brother Scan and Cut, most of those machines. So there's my big, 2 big pieces of information from Creativation down in Arizona. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to the first Get Organized Challenge. And this challenge we called Set Yourself Up for Success. And these are kind of all the building blocks that you need to get in place in order to be successful through the rest of the challenge, right? This is sort of the foundation for getting yourself organized. And in the words of Mary Poppins, well begun is half done. And just by virtue of the fact that you're showing up to class this morning, or possibly you had to go to work and so you're watching this as a recorded version, just getting started, just committing to doing it, well begun, half done. So congratulations to all of you for taking that first step. For those of you who are new, the challenge is pretty simple. We're obviously live. We're live on Facebook. We're live on live stream. And Karen is monitoring the chatter, the chat box. And so if you have a question, type the word questions in all caps. Karen will do her best to answer that question during the course of the class today. If she doesn't get it answered, please resubmit either via email or to the Facebook group. Sometimes we get to the end of the challenge and wherever you are is a minute or 2 delayed. So by the time you ask your question, we're technically already off the air. So we don't see it or we don't get it. So we're not ignoring you, but please use the Facebook group or email us. When you get the emails about the Get Organized Challenge, you can always just reply back to customer service at Totally-Tiffany.com and we will answer your questions there. If you're not signed up, if you haven't signed up to be on the email list, the email, we send out a reminder email before, we send out links to the challenges, and then we send out a follow-up email so that anything I bring up during class that wasn't in that's not in your handout or wasn't already addressed in a previous email, you're going to get links and that kind of information as well. So if you haven't signed up for the Get Organized Challenge list, I would strongly recommend doing that. You can do that on the website on the Get Organized Challenge page. If you don't want to sign up and you just want to get information on your own, we always post the recorded version of the class on the Get Organized Challenge page with links to everything else there as well. Facebook group, amazing, amazing group of, I don't even know how many there are in the group today. Over 18,000, I think, people who've participated in the Get Organized Challenge and are still participating. So if you're new, join the Get Organized Challenge group. Again, there'll be a link in the email because it's a great place to ask questions and share your story and see other people's stories. So right now I notice a lot of people posting up their before pictures. So hallelujah for that. We all love a before and after. So I'm going to encourage you to just do that as well. We do give away prizes every week, so you want to do a progress post, whether that's on the Facebook group or via email. You'll get more details on that. But everybody that posts their progress gets in the drawing, and then we give away prizes every week. I try not to talk too much during class about our products, about what we sell, what we offer, but I do a little presentation at the very end of class. So if you want product information, stick around after the end of class, and I'll talk today about the products you're going to see while I'm actually teaching. Okay, so who am I? I should probably start with this. And how did I get here? Obviously, I'm Tiffany Spalding, and I am a freak about organization. I love everything about it. So getting to have a job where what I do is help other people get organized and design products that help people get organized is amazing. What I'm not, what I wasn't, what I never thought that I was a crafter, an artist, a hobbyist of any type. And I have my sister to blame for my addiction to scrapbooking and paper crafting because she invited me to a Creative Memories party almost 20 years ago now. So, and that is how I got hooked into scrapbooking, right? It was something, I fell in love with it immediately. I bought everything the rep had possibly available to sell to me. So I started out already with too much stuff. But that didn't slow me down, or my sister. Very next weekend, we're out in the greater Seattle area, hitting every scrapbooking shop that we could find, just loading up with goodies. So probably not unlike most of you. I started out with the best intention and quickly became a collector who was overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that I had. And that's what led me to teaching classes and developing products. So all of our products are designed by people who actually, or the input we get from people are actually crafters. If you're interested in being part of the input group, you can sign up as one of our Facebook groups is a new products group where we do some live streams and ask your opinion, and so we're happy to hear what you have to say, and we also want to hear what you need. So that's it. So I've been in on the scrapbooking thing and addicted to scrapbooking. Well, I guess it's almost 20 years. Like I said, I was thinking maybe 15, but we've had this business since 2003, so it's 16 years old, and I started, so 18 years. Okay, let's move on. One other thing I want you to keep in mind as well is that when I talk about organization strategies and how things work and how your brain works, a huge part of organization is what's happening in your head. You can apply those ideas, and some of you can share your stories. I know I get a lot of emails, and we see stuff in the Facebook group about how you've applied the ideas that and the concepts from class into other areas of your life. So if you've had some epiphanies and been able to organize your kitchen or your linen closet, I hope you'll take a few minutes and share those on our Facebook group with the new people. So let's start. It's New Year's resolution time. And New Year's resolutions, what is New Year's resolution fail day? I think it's the 14th of January. I sent out an email about it, right? So it's apropos that we are starting after that because this is a fresh resolution. We are going to work forward from today through the next 8 weeks and set up some structures and strategies for getting organized. But it's really important to understand why goals fail so that you can recognize, excuse me, so that you can recognize why you're having trouble adjusting or moving forward or getting things done, right? So you can know in your head. So one of the first reasons that goals fail is because they're too big and overwhelming, which is why we started the Get Organized Challenge in general. I used to teach a single class where I just threw all this information out and told people how to do things, and then the ideas were solid, but when people opened their craft room doors, all of a sudden they were like, oh my gosh, she has no idea how much I have, this will never work. And so we started the Get Organized Challenge to be able to break things down into smaller steps, and that's the first key to getting your goals successful, is how you're going to break those down into smaller steps. The second reason goals fail is they lack a motivating instant gratification, and we're going to address that with how we set up our big benefits board. When your willpower gets depleted, forget about it. You're not going to accomplish anything. If you are interested in understanding how willpower works and how to improve yours, there's an amazing book out by a professor from Stanford named Kelly McGonigal. And Karen, if you can type this in and maybe add it I'm going to write it down to add it to the email that goes out today. Her book is called The Willpower Instinct, and it's kind of a workbook, but it teaches you why your willpower gets depleted and what you can do to recognize it and also to recharge yourself. You have to recognize that setbacks are going to happen, and then how you fall back and then keep moving forward, right? So be conscious of things. These things are going to happen, but you still are going to be able to move forward, maybe a little slower, maybe a little different path, but you're going to be able to do that. Most goals lack a rewards along the way. Again, we're going to talk about that with our big benefits board. And there's a lack of a positive association with the end result. And this is really, really important. Again, it's something that's going to come up in our big benefits board. You have to have something that makes you feel good or feel smart or feel successful. Something very positive has to be the end result, and that has to be the thing that you keep your mind on. What is that big benefit and how it's going to make you feel? And so it's really important that you get your head in the game and understand all of those things, because your brain is going to work really hard to slow you down through this process if you're not on top of it, right? If you're not aware of what you need to do. So first thing we're going to do is make our goals realistic and attainable. We're going to break them down into smaller steps. We're going to write them down. We're going to hang them up. Oh, right? That's scary for people to just actually go, what we call go public with their goals. Put them up on the wall in your craft room or on your refrigerator or wherever you're going to see them every day, and let everyone know what you're doing. And this is what we call going public, and it's really important because other people then are going to ask you about your goals, and that's going to hold you more accountable. So kind of gives people a little bit of a stomach ache, but it's a necessary part of the process. One of the things that really helps in the process is to recruit a friend or family member, another crafty person, to go through the process with you, because then you have somebody that you can talk to who's going to motivate you and inspire you. You're going to be able to do the same for them, and you're going to be able to keep things moving forward. But it does really help. Also, if you have someone in your local environment, whether it's your significant other or your children or your roommate, who's going to try and sabotage your success, you need to figure out how to get the buy-in from them before you get started. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then you're going to define your big benefit. So these are 2 big benefit boards that I have made in the past. This was my first one, and you know it's an oldie but a goodie, because one of the rewards that I have down here is to renew my Creating Keepsakes magazine subscription, which hasn't existed for years. But the big benefits board is going to define why you want to do this, why it's important to you, what's that emotional connection, and then you're going to create 8 steps and 8 rewards. And each time that you complete a challenge or meet your goals for the challenge, you're going to enjoy whatever that reward is, right? So I mentioned earlier about getting the buy-in. This first board was done when my kids were younger, and kids are a distraction. Kids are a distraction. That might be an understatement, actually. But it seems like your children don't really want to talk to you or do anything with you until you're busy doing something for yourself, right? So my buy-in for London and Max, so that they would allow me to actually get my stuff organized and cleaned up, was a reward for each of them as well. Max loved to play ping pong and order pizza, so I said, when I finish this challenge, that's what we're going to do. London, my older son, he's a cribbage and coffee guy, so Starbucks trip for cribbage and coffee was the combination. So the 2 of them entertained each other and were focused on letting me or helping me get what I wanted to get done, because there was reward involved for them. So that's what I'm talking about, getting the buy-in. It doesn't necessarily have to be a reward for someone else, but it could just be a conversation with your significant other. Hey, I really need your help and support in this. It's important to me. 9 times out of 10, your significant other is probably more excited about you getting your craft stuff cleaned up than you are, right? Depending on where you're crafting. So get the buy-in from the people who are going to disrupt you. This is the second, more recent big benefits board that I did. And again, it has 8 little pockets, and hidden in each pocket is whatever the reward is for completing that challenge. And I got this idea actually from another gal who did the challenge, and she put she gave her friend all of her rewards, and had her friend put the rewards in tiny envelopes and glue them on her big benefits board. So the lady who was completing the challenge didn't actually know what her reward was going to be, because her friend mixed them all up, until she opened up the envelope each week after she met her goals. So there's a lot of different ways to do your big benefits board. Most important thing is, what is the big benefit, right? And it could be anything. It's going to be different for everybody. So some of us want to be able to craft with friends in our craft room. Some of us want to be able to travel to events, and right now it's just way too difficult to do, so we can't do that. Some of us want to repaint our craft room or add new tools or supplies, and we just feel guilty about doing it because we're not using anything right now because it's such a mess. Whatever your benefit is, and there are some of them, I think, listed out on the handout as well. You need to get that down on paper, and it needs to be something that you can relate to emotionally as well. So it's going to make you feel happy, feel successful, feel whatever it is So that some kind of emotional connection, really important. All right. So your big benefits board doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, obviously this is all, I got to use all my scrapbooking supplies to make my big benefits board. Your big benefits board can be a list on a piece of notebook paper. It can be something you put up on your whiteboard. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be in front of you. So some people do 8 big benefits and 8 sticky notes of what their rewards are going to be. So you can keep it simple, or you can use your craft supplies and do something fun and cool. I did mine in 12 by 12 because now I have a scrapbook page done and ready to go, right? So if you're going to scrap your experience, it's a good idea to do it on that. Okay, so what is the first step to getting organized, right? When we talk about organization, there are 2 mental processes for organization. There's organization, and then there's what I call containerization, right? So containerization is when you put everything you have into boxes, bins, drawers, or totes, whatever it is. It might look neat and tidy. It might have a label on the front. But basically what you've done is put everything into containers and put a label on it. There's no real system for it. Because when you talk about organization, the definition of organization is putting things together into an organized, it's not organized, into a structured, functional whole, right? So you want to think about how you craft, when you craft, where you craft, what you craft with, and the supplies and how all of those things are going to work together. We're going to talk about this repeatedly as we go through the challenge, because if your supplies are containerized, you're relying on your memory. Do I have that thing, right? So if you say to yourself, do I have red brads? And then the response you get is, yes, you do. Then you have to ask the second question, where are they? And your brain replies back, they're somewhere in your craft room, but it'll be way faster to run up to Joann's and get new ones than it will be to find them. That's when you know you're probably containerized instead of organized, right? So you need a system that ties everything together, that keeps things together, you use together, and it's so much simpler than you think. It's called the 4-section system, and it takes all of your craft supplies and puts them together into 4 major categories. So you've got alphabets, numbers, and punctuation. Oh, let me just backtrack a minute, right? What's important about categorization is your brain, back to the brain thing, the more knowledge your brain has of something, it's easier to retrieve, right? So one of the diagrams in one of the books that I read kind of showed like your brain as these towers of building blocks inside your head. And when you needed to grab information, the tall towers were easy for your brain to grab information from, okay? So when you're designing when I was designing organization system, the most important thing was, how do I retrieve that information quickly? How is it going to make sense, not only to me, but to everybody, right? Because we all have our own little niche-y little things that make sense to us that don't make sense at all to anyone else. So that was a huge component of coming up with a system that was going to work for everyone. What do we already know, right? So the 4-section system is based on 4 things that we already know and understand, 4 categories that we already know and understand. The first one is alphabets, numbers, and punctuation marks. Someone says to you, what's an alphabet or a number? You know what that is. You know the orders they go in, right? Something you've learned your entire life. The second section is themes and sentiments A to Z. Again, something that's easy to recognize, a theme or a sentiment. So a theme would be camping or travel. A sentiment would be happy birthday, bon voyage, congratulations, right? All of those things are going to go together. So regardless of whether you're a scrapbooker, a mixed media artist, a card maker, we all operate within those same themes. If you're a mixed media artist, you might be doing a shadow box that's birthday related, or a shadow box that's travel related, right? If you're a card maker, obviously, bon voyage, congratulations, right? Scrapbooking, you're scrapbooking the themes of your life, what you do, your camping, travel, etc. But they all kind of go together. So it doesn't matter what kind of artist you are, what kind of crafter you are, the ideas and themes are still easy for you to know in your head. The third section is the calendar year. That's going to be all of your holiday and seasonal materials grouped together. And that, again, anything January to December. So you already understand this and you already know where all those things go, right? So when I say holidays and seasons, it's easy for you to know exactly what I'm talking about. And the third section is the rainbow. And the rainbow is where you put everything that doesn't go in one of the first three sections, and it's grouped together by color. And I think this is probably, there is one big note on my screen here. There is no miscellaneous, right? So as you're going through the process of organizing, if you come up with this pile of miscellaneous things, that's a sign that your brain is tired of thinking about, that your willpower is wearing out, right? Because there is no miscellaneous. The whole idea of organization is putting things in a place where you can find them, where they're with other things that you're going to use together. So if you start a miscellaneous pile, I don't have a lot of rules. I do have that rule. There is no miscellaneous. You start a miscellaneous pile, take a break. That's what you need to do. Okay, so I will show you. You can follow me here, Leanne. I'm going to go through the 4-section system and kind of show you quickly how that all works. And I apologize because the pages are clear. Sometimes the light gets kind of funky on them. So your first section, do you need to angle a little bit, Leanne? Is that better? You're good? Okay. So your first section is alphabets and numbers. This is anything that you would write with, that you would create a title with, that you would make journaling notes with, any kind of words that you would write with, right? So what's in here? This is my Thickers sticker title maker, right? Look at this skinny little thing. If you have one of these, where is it? It's hard to keep track of because it's small and thin and flat. So it comes in a 3-hole punch thing. I just added it right to my scrap rack. So that it's right in the front. I can take what I need out of the pocket, but it's right there, easy to use. So my first section is alphabets and numbers, and it's anything that's alphabet, numbers, punctuation marks, but not theme specific. Right? So stickers, die cuts, stencils, they're all in here as long as they're not theme specific. So these are actually fabric stencils. They're big alphabet stencils. And you can see I have a little thing from the packaging in the pocket. So I know which letters are in there. So they're for fabric stencils. They work for anything. They're just general craft supply, right? I happen to love them. They're the right size to put on a 4x6 photo and cut a letter out of a 4x6 photo. But they worked on my kids' school projects, and they worked to make, signs for bake sales and church events and all that kind of stuff. But they're alphanumeric, so they're in the alphanumeric section. It doesn't matter that they're technically a fabric thing. I'm going to use alphabets and numbers anywhere I'm going to use alphabets and numbers. So try to think about the more stuff that you can combine into your organization system, the more you're going to see it and the more you're going to use it, right? So that's the first section, alphabets and numbers. So anything that's letter, number, or punctuation mark, but not theme specific, is going to go in that first section. Second section is themes and sentiments A to Z. So this is a small demo scrap rack. So it just has a few sections, and it's on this kind of weird cart. So maybe I can that's probably better, huh? Move it over a little bit. So this is a birthday section, right? And the whole idea is putting things together that you're going to keep together, that you're going to use together. So if I'm going to make a birthday card, a birthday page, a birthday gift bag, a birthday tag, a birthday mixed media project, I just have to come to one place, and everything I have that's birthday themed is right there in front of me. And that is your goal, right? Put everything together that's going to work for that particular theme or category and have it at your fingertips. The third section, so one thing that kind of freaks people out is paper. So you can see that I do have paper in my scrap rack, but I use a hybrid for paper storage, so don't freak out about paper. That's the second class. We're going to start with paper, and we'll talk about different storage solutions and storage options for paper next week. All right, the third section is the calendar year, holiday and seasons. So so Valentine's Day to Halloween in chronological order. And one of the beautiful things about using the 4-section system to organize your supplies is that if you scrap with other people, whether that's girlfriends that come over or family members, or you go somewhere to crop, or friends come to crop with you, everybody can understand the 4-section system. So if your girlfriend says to you, I need Halloween brads, it's not difficult for you to say, oh, go over there, flip to the Halloween section, and you'll see everything I've got, help yourself, right? The same thing when you're putting things away at the end of a crafting session. It becomes very simple to put things away, because rather than going, oh, I need to put these stickers in my sticker box and these brads in my brad box and these eyelets in the eyelet box and tags over here and paper over here, you're just going to go right back to that section and put the items that you didn't use away in the section. So it makes it really simple to take things out and put things away. Okay, so doesn't matter what it is. Again, stickers, embellishments, unmounted stamps, everything that you want to use for that particular holiday or theme is going to be right here in this third section. Okay, last section is the rainbow, and this is where you're going to put everything grouped by color that doesn't fit into a theme or category in the front. Now, you can use the 4-section system in file folders, in Ziploc bags, in 12 by 12 pizza boxes, in plastic boxes. Anyway, it's going to work whatever kind of tool you're using. Obviously, there's some different benefits to a scrap rack because you can just flip through it rather than opening and closing boxes. But no matter what tool you're using, if you follow the 4-section system, it's going to be so much easier to find all of your supplies, right? The rainbow is the biggest freak out for most people because we have boxes for our flowers and glitter and eyelets and brads and ribbon and tags and all the different things. So getting our brains around combining all of that stuff together is sometimes really difficult, right? So let me tell you a few benefits to using the rainbow section. The first benefit is, like I mentioned earlier, when you need a blue brad, if you go to your blue section and thinking, I need a blue brad, boom, there they are. And if they're not there, then there's no other place to look. Then you know you need to pick some up the next time that you're at Michael's, right? So finding anything is quick and easy because they're all grouped together by color. The next thing about the rainbow section is that you will end up using more of your supplies, because when you go looking for your blue brad, you might also say, oh, I have these flowers, or I have these little tags, or I have these tiles. Those are all going to work together. I didn't even think about using those, but because it's visual, because it's accessible, it's right out in front of you, because you can see how things are going to go together, it makes it easier to use more of your supplies as well. The third thing about using the rainbow section, well, all the sections, but the rainbow in particular, is that you will become a better artist or a better designer because you are seeing more options, and you'll start to think more in terms of, I need something green and shiny. I need something that's got some texture. I need something that's round and, metallic, or whatever it is. Your brain starts to think more in terms of what do I need on this page from the art perspective than it does, I need a blue brad, right? So when you come here, you think, okay, I'm going to get some texture with those flowers, or, oh, I could layer up these tags. I didn't even think about that. So you're going to use more of your supplies just because you see them, and you start thinking differently about the whole process of creating whatever it is, a page, a card, some other type of project. Okay, so that's the 4-section system. How it works, why it works. Now let's talk about the next thing that you need to do once you get your brain around the 4-section system is you need to create a themes and sentiments list, and there is a link to this themes and sentiments list on the Get Organized Challenge page, and probably in the follow-up email. I'm going to write that down, but I'm pretty sure. If you want to take a look, everybody's themes and sentiments list is going to be a little bit different, right? So these are just kind of some generic ideas, but your themes and sentiments list are all the things that you make cards about, or that you scrapbook or that you create about. And so this is going to be what leads you through organizing your supplies into section 2, the themes and sentiments section. Okay. Like I said, everybody's going to have slightly different things. One of the challenges with themes and sentiments, or one of the things I want you to think about after you put your themes and sentiments list together, is what things could you combine in there, right? So if you have a section for soccer and football and tennis, you might want to consider having a major category called sports, because when you look at some football embellishment stickers or kit that you've bought, it's got a banner that says Go Team and a megaphone and orange cones and cleats and grass, #1 team, best coach, all of those things. And those things could work with any sports team, with any sports event, right? So if those things are in football, but you're working on soccer pages and you have your soccer stuff separate under S in the themes and sentiments, you're only going to see soccer things. But if you put football and soccer and tennis all together under just a sports tab, when you're working on a sports thing, you're going to see all the different things that you have. And just because it came as a soccer embellishment doesn't mean it's not also going to work great in, tennis or football if it's a generic rah-rah go team kind of thing. So try to combine and conquer. The other time this becomes really valuable is when you're traveling to an event and you want to take supplies with you, right? So one of the biggest challenges for going to a crafting event is deciding what to take, which we will talk about in class number 8, and how to pack. But when you're using the 4-section system and you're able to combine categories together, this is a prime reason why people ask me all the time, why do I need the calendar year section? Can't I just put Easter under E and Christmas under C in the themes and sentiments section, and then I don't have to have a calendar year section? But remember the mantra, keep things together, you use together. If you put fall supplies under fall and Thanksgiving supplies under T for Thanksgiving and Halloween supplies under H for Halloween, and then you're going to go to an event, you have to remember, oh, I need to grab the fall section, the H section for Halloween, the T section for Thanksgiving. Try not to cough all over my microphone, you guys. You have to remember, first of all, that there are those 3 sections, and then you have to take 3 sections, whether that's something from your scrap rack, or boxes, or bins, or totes, or binders, or whatever you're using. You have to take it all. But if you put all those things together in the fall section, in the calendar year, now you've just got 1 section of stuff to take with you, and you know you're going to have everything that you need for that category. The other huge benefit is, when you get home, you only have to put 1 section away instead of, or 1 box or 1 file, instead of refiling, placing those 3 boxes. So as you create your themes and sentiments list, keep in mind things that you could combine together. You might want to combine birthday, celebration, night on the town, depending on where you are in your life. If you have young children, birthdays are still a big deal. You've got lots of birthday stuff, that could be its own category. But for me, as I get older, that kind of stuff isn't as big a deal. So now everything's kind of grouped together under that celebrate category, where it's birthday and, night out or red carpet party or whatever you might have things for. Okay. So you're going to create your themes and sentiments list, and you're going to try and combine and conquer. The next thing you need to do is start gathering things together, right? Is there stuff in the trunk of your car, under your bed, stuffed in your closet? Go around and try to pull everything together and get it into one area. So whether you have a craft room, a craft closet, or a little corner of shared space in the family room, you're going to follow all of these same steps, right? So, and you may just have tubs of stuff in a closet that you have to bring out. You still want to follow along that 4-section system. You still want to go through the whole process that we're talking about, right? So wherever your things are spread around, gather them up and try to get them all together in one area. It's just good for your brain to see where you're starting, and then take that before picture of all the stuff that you've got to organize, because as you go through the process, you're going to want to continue to take a few snapshots, and then you can kind of track your progress and you can post up on Facebook and share with other people how you're moving along. Other people find it really inspiring and motivating to see what other people are doing. So don't be afraid to share. And trust me, no matter what your room looks like, we've seen it all on the Get Organized Challenge group, right? You could scroll through past things and see if you think your stuff is in the worst shape, trust me, there's somebody else that's got it going on. All right. Step 4, purging. This is the hardest thing for people to get their brains around, right? There's a number of reasons we don't want to purge. Purging is a necessary part of this whole process. For some of you need to purge more than others. All of you have something in your craft area that you will never use, and you know it when you look at it, right? So what I'm going to encourage you to do is first know what kind of crafter you are. And when I say that, I mean in the sense of, am I a super hip and cool cutting edge crafter and I only want to use the latest and greatest stuff? Versus, am I, this end of the spectrum, a very simple, basic scrapbooker, and I use a lot of colored paper and very simple embellishments, but I can keep it, very sort of basic, and I'm focused solely on the pictures and not so much on the creative aspect of it, right? There's everybody in between. And who are you? What will you use? When will you use it? Why will you use it? You need to keep all of these things in mind. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is that scrapbooking is a fashion-forward hobby. The colors and styles and textures that we see in fashion are the same color, styles, texture that we're seeing in crafting supplies, right? So a couple of years ago, super easy, obvious chevron pattern, right? Moroccan screen pattern, right? These were popular in women's clothing. They were popular in scrapbooking. They were popular in home decor. Crafting really follows the trends of what's happening in fashion, in home decor. It's all tied together. So keep that in mind. If you have something that you pull out of a box that you look at and you think it's ugly at this point because you bought it 10 years ago, if your first reaction is, oh, that's ugly, it needs to go in your purge box, right? So I want you to set a goal for how much you're going to purge, and you can set any kind of goal you want. Some people set goals of, I'm going to fill this particular box. Some people say, I'm going to purge an inch of products for every year I've been crafting. Some people purge by the pound. Some people purge anything that's older than X number of years. You set whatever goal is going to work for you, but definitely set a goal, and then you need to stick to that goal, right? We had another gal, I'm going to tell you 2 great things. So what happens with purging? We think of all these reasons in our head that we shouldn't be getting rid of things, right? There's a link in the follow-up to a blog post called Purging Less is More or something, or Purge Patrol. If you have trouble purging and you need some motivation, there's a video, and then there's also a blog post that'll kind of take you through what's happening in your head, the mental part of it. So here's my personal example of why it's important to purge. I have 2 sons, London and Max. If you've been on board with me for any length of time, you know that. And when they were younger, they played soccer, not unlike so many other kids in America. And it was their first year playing soccer. And so, of course, I loaded up on all these soccer embellishments. And one of the amazing soccer embellishments that I bought was a fairly expensive, it was probably $6 or $8. Paper Wizard. If you're not familiar with Paper Wizard, you definitely want to check out his website. He has amazing things, but it was this beautiful layered play soccer embellishment that had like AstroTurf and glitter and all these different layers of paper. It was amazing. It was an amazing embellishment. And at the end of the soccer season, my kids said, we don't really want to play soccer anymore. And I said, what? What do you mean you don't want to play soccer anymore? I have this amazing soccer embellishment that I didn't use this year because next year when you guys play soccer, this embellishment is worthy of an AYSO championship and you guys need to get there, so I have a reason to use this amazing embellishment, right? And they were like, sorry, Mom, we're not playing soccer anymore, right? So I had this thing that I hadn't used that I thought was too good to use because my kids weren't the AYSO champions at age 6 or whatever, their first year of soccer. And now I had this amazing embellishment that I couldn't use because I was done scrapbooking soccer for those guys, right? So now I'm going to have to purge this embellishment. Hard to purge, $6, $7, $8, but I'm never going to use it. Okay, so there's a couple of options. Whenever you're getting rid of something, if you can find an emotional connection to where you're giving it, that is going to be incredibly helpful, right? So whether it's the Ronald McDonald House or your senior center or your kid's kindergarten class, you're going to find it very much easier to purge that way. Some people purge by the pound and sell it on eBay or Etsy or whatever. So maybe your motivation is recouping some cash. So that's an option as well. I was going to say one other thing about the emotional part of it. But emotions are huge. Emotion is a big part of it. So if you have trouble purging, read the blog post, watch the Purge Patrol video, but you need to set a goal and you need to execute that goal. So that means you're going to have to add a purge box to your crafting area for the challenge, and then you're going to keep the purge box forever. While you're in the challenge, your purge box needs to be probably at least 12 by 12, better if it's like 13 by 13, because you're going to throw 12 by 12 stuff in there. Once you've sort of graduated from the major, from the Get Organized Challenge and you've done your major purging, you can switch to something smaller. So I have this little box right here. It says Purge on it. But this is just a regular paper storage box, so it'll fit 12 by 12 things. So as I'm crafting, whenever I come across something that I see that I'm not going to use anymore, maybe I don't think it's attractive, maybe it's not appropriate for my life, it might be, you know, cars and trucks and things that go for 6-year-old little boys, and my boys are in college, so I'm not going to need that anymore. I have that handy and I can just toss it right in there. Oh, here's what I was going to say. One lady shared her purge story with us, and I'm sorry I don't have her name, I wish I did, but she's a member of the group. And when she was purging, she put all the stuff she purged, like as she was purging themes, she had all this stuff for a cruise. Well, she'd already done a cruise, she wasn't going to do another one. She put all her cruise stuff in a big Ziploc bag. Maybe she put all her Disney stuff that she wasn't going to use in a big Ziploc bag, but it was in Ziploc bags by theme. And then the next crafting event, Crop, that she went to, she took those bags with her and she went around and found out what people were crafting about. And so she found someone who was working on cruise. She would say, here's a little gift for you. And she would pass it on to that next person. So it's a great way to share those supplies in categories. There's also a number of charity groups who make scrapbooks for different people, like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They try to give those kids a scrapbook. So bagging things up by theme and donating in places like that, also good for you emotionally, and it makes it easier to give things away. Enough about purging. Okay, step number 5 is storage tools and space, right? Before you start choosing storage tools, one of the things I want you to do is also, there's going to be a link to our What Kind of Crafter Are You little blog post. And knowing and being conscious, you guys are going to get tired of me saying that, about what kind of crafter you are. Are you Kathy Craftroom? Kathy Craftroom has her own craft room and she never crafts anywhere else, right? Her room always stays the same. She needs very different tools than Mary Mobile Maker, who Mary only crafts outside of her home. So her tools and supplies need to be stored in different ways. So please take a few minutes to go through. Oh, I need like a cough drop or something. Go through that blog post and kind of figure out who you are, because it's going to give you a good idea about choosing the right storage tools for the way you craft, where you craft, how you craft, all that stuff. All right. And then, so you can, there's little cute little girls too that our graphics company did for us, so for who you are. Next thing you need is an organized only space. And your organized only space is going to be an empty space that you can load products into as they're organized. It doesn't have to be anything major. It can be as simple as maybe a 4-cube system from IKEA, right? So 39, I think they're $40. You can go through, so you have 4 empty cubes that you're going to be able to organize to get started. Some of you have space that you can just clear out, but you need to start with an empty, organized only space. That's where you're going to move your organized products into. And then as you organize around your room or your closet or your totes under the bed or whatever, you're going to empty out other space. So your organized only space is slowly going to become your entire space. But you just need a small amount of space to start with. Whoop, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, step 7, create your widget notebook. Widget stands for what did you do today? One of the really important things about goals is holding yourself accountable. And one way to do that is to force yourself to make a note every day about what you did today to move yourself forward. Okay? This is a method that I use for everything in my life, basically. But you just need a small little notebook. It can be something as simple as this, right? By your bedside. So before you tuck in at night, you're just going to open it up. And if your goal was, my goal this week was to organize, 2 feet of paper, you're just going to write down, what did you do to organize that paper? And you might write down, I organized 6 inches of paper. You might have nothing to write down. You can't go to bed until you have something to write down. Pop up, go in your craft room. I don't care if you only organize 2 sheets of paper. I don't care if you clear your table and what you say is, I cleared the dining room table, it's set up for paper organization tomorrow. It doesn't have to be a big major thing. It just has to be one little thing, or it could be a big major thing. Just one little thing. What did you do today to move yourself closer to that goal of getting your craft supplies organized, right? Every night before you go to bed, when I say every night, that means 7 days a week. Every night. You have 1 week to do each challenge. Some people, as I say that doesn't necessarily mean if you have 25 feet of paper, you probably aren't going to sort all 25 feet of paper in this challenge. And for those of you who are first timers, you can chime in, ladies who've done this more than once. The beautiful thing about the Get Organized Challenge is it keeps you motivated, but you can keep coming back and retaking the classes and the motivation that you need. Something new comes up, you're going to learn that as well. But one of the things about learning, which you probably already know, is that when you go to class and you learn something and the instructor says something and you start thinking about that thing, you miss out on whatever the instructor said next, right? Hard for me to believe that people aren't absorbing every word of my lecture today, but because you start thinking about how you're going to apply that, and then you miss out on some other piece of information. So that's one of the nice things about the challenge, is as you come back or as you rewatch the videos, you're going to be able to pick up all that other information as well. So you may have to take the challenge more than once. You may want to come back and revisit just for certain classes. Maybe photos is your downfall and you need to keep revisiting that. So that's all possibilities. Whatever goal you set, that's what you need to achieve. That's what you need to put in your what did you do today notebook. The what did you do today notebook is not a planner. It isn't for writing down what you're going to do at what time. It is just simply for reminding yourself, what did I do today? I have goals. How am I achieving them? What am I doing to move myself forward? Really important. Okay. What type of crafter are you? Blog post. We already talked about that. I've skipped ahead. So let's talk about this week's challenge. Are you ready? Here's your checklist. I should talk about quickly. Sorry. I don't remember what it was. I paused to drink the water, and all right, it'll come back. It'll come back. Okay, first thing. Oh, the handout. That was it. If you haven't downloaded your handout, this checklist is at the end of your handout. You can download the handout from our website. There's probably a link in the email that went out, the reminder email. There will definitely be a link in the follow-up email. You can save it as a PDF on your desktop if you want, or in the file folder in your computer. A lot of the things in the handout are live linked. So if I'm talking about a blog post or a video, if it's in the handout and you save it to your computer, you can just click on the link in the handout and it'll take you right to the video or right to the themes and sentiments list or whatever it is. So if you keep a copy of it on your desktop while we're going through the challenge, you can link that. So Karen brings up questions that she couldn't answer, and then at this point. So the first question on my list is from George Schneider. If you don't know George, he is part of George and Ken of Crafts by Two, and you definitely want to check them out. They're hysterical, great, just really fun guys that are crafters, and they've surrounded themselves with this group of other amazing, fun, crafty people. And so George's question for me is, where did I have the best dinner in Phoenix? And I had the best dinner in Phoenix with George and Ken and all of their crafty pals. They invited me to join them. They rent this big, amazing house during Creativation that has an incredible view of the city. And they invited me to join them for a beautiful, delicious Italian dinner. And not only was it the best dinner, the best food that I had when I was in Phoenix, it was also great company. So thanks for tuning in today, George and Ken, if you're there. I think probably not. I think Ken's probably at work. So anyway, good to have you. And yes, best dinner in Phoenix was, and the company was amazing. All right, Catherine asks, can mugs be on product shopping area for folks, or GOC mug, or any more things like those great stickers and pens? You know what? Thanks so much for asking about that. Yes, we will get some GOC girl mugs or mouse pads or something. I get asked a lot for things like that. Mugs and aprons definitely on the list. So thanks for reminding me. Again, Catherine says, any ideas for us that have done GOC for a while, and yet for me seems my benefits reasons are same because it's a huge project. Stay motivated and can't make rewards based on dollars, etc. So let's address the rewards thing first. One of the important things about the rewards is that you actually take advantage of them. They don't have to be big things. I know some people, their reward is to take a cropping cruise, right? Well, when you look at my rewards board, one of my rewards was to take my son for a coffee at Starbucks and play cribbage. One of them was to eat pizza and play ping pong with my other son. They don't have to be big, amazing things. Some people put simple things on there. Hey, take an hour, treat yourself to an hour of reading alone, or a bubble bath, or so it can just be something small. A long walk with the dog and nobody else. A long walk with the dog and your best friend, or your favorite neighbor, or whatever. I was going to say favorite kid, but that's not very nice, is it? So anyway, the rewards don't have to be. One of the things that happens, we are so busy and there's so much to do that we don't treat ourselves to small things that are just for us. We feel guilty about it. Our families need things, our work needs things, our community needs things, and we think, oh, that's a better use of my time. But if you will read Kelly McGonigal's book about willpower, doing things for yourself, like taking a walk alone, are really, they're really good for you on a number of levels. They're good for your brain, they're good for your body, they're good. It's good to get outside and get a green fill up, to be out in the fresh air doing something. So when you're setting up your rewards, set up things that are affordable to you financially, time-wise, whatever the criteria is, so that you actually will take advantage of that reward. Also, small, small little thing someone shared with me at a show regarding the financial thing. She got this, she had this tiny little purse that she hung in the back of her closet. And every time she had a dollar bill or a couple of extra bucks or a handful of change or whatever, she went and threw it in that little purse in the back of her closet. And she never looked in there. And her reward was whatever was in that purse when the scrapbook show came around, that was going to be her spending money at this show. So it didn't matter if there was only $10 that ended up in that purse over the course of however long it was there, or $100 or $500, whatever. That was her, the reward was just putting that little bit away. So, you know, what's realistic for you in terms of the financial side of it, and you know, make those tiny steps that are going to turn into something that actually is a reward for you, whether it's in the short term or the long term, like this gal with the purse. So if you've been taking the challenge and you're having trouble staying motivated for things, changing up your reward is one thing. And if you're not using the widget notebook, you need to definitely be doing that, because there's something about forcing yourself to acknowledge that you did not do anything today to move yourself closer to your goal, that forces you to move yourself closer to your goal. Or if you did do something and you write it down, it gives your brain this little shot of endorphins, of energy. You feel successful and you feel like you're accomplishing things, and that makes it easier to keep moving forward. So whatever it is that you're doing, keeping yourself motivated is key. And the widget notebook, I promise you, it's going to help. I use it every single day for everything I'm trying to accomplish, and it's amazing, because it either makes you feel guilty and motivates you, or it makes you feel successful, which is motivating as well to keep going with what you're doing. Debbie says, what was the name of the thin sticker pocket thing she talked about? The thin sticker pocket thing, the actual name of it, I gotta put on my glasses. It was designed by We Are. You know, those are my favorite people, American Crafts. It's called the Alphabet Alignment Guides. And what it is, if you've never seen them, I will show you. It is these little funky ruler things, and you use them, and they're masters of video and instruction. So I'll give you a quick little demo of how they work, but there's videos on their website. So if you're trying to build a tag, if you're trying to build a title where you want the words to arch across the page like this, or like this, or like this, this little tool is gridded out so you can stick all the letters starting in the center. So if you're doing happy birthday, you stick the letters using the grid so you get the perfect placement. You stick the letters here, and then you put it down on your layout, and then you stick the letters to the layout and pull the guide from underneath, and now you have whatever shape you wanted, even straight, even curvy, right? So you get a perfect alignment with the letters, right? So sometimes we want our things to be perfect. I tend to do a lot of things where I like to stagger my letters up and down solely because then I don't have to worry about perfection. But if you want to get a nice straight line for something, for all kinds of things, this is the Alphabet Alignment tool from American Crafts, and it was specifically designed to work with stickers. Where did Tiffany get her rolling cart her scrap rack is sitting on? This is my little, I'm not sure what, I need to come up with a term for this cart. The brand of this cart is Trinity. It was about $50, $39.99, $49.99 on Amazon. You'll notice when I go like this, it's a little bit wonky. It had a different length of pipes right here that were silver, and I needed it tall enough so that I could put a paper storage box here. So my husband took the silver pipes out and put this lovely PVS pipe or PVC piping in to raise it up, which is why it's maybe not as stable as the original design. And then I also just put these grid panels in there so things don't fall off the back and sides of it. I get asked about it all the time. There's a little video about that gives the dimensions and stuff. If you search Trinity Cart on my YouTube channel, it might even be posted somewhere on our website or on the blog. It'll tell you more about that cart. But it's not perfect, but it gets the job done. It's great for demoing with a small scrap rack, demo rack. My actual scrap rack is a couple of bases long, so it won't actually fit on this, but it's great for the demo. And I'll talk more about the scrap rack at the end. Is there anything you can do to help get TT supplies in the stores here in North Carolina? Right now there are not any stores carrying a decent line of any. Michael's, AC, Joanne are not doing it. Joanne's, who carried a variety of our stuff until last year, and then they redid their stores, and now they're bringing stuff back into their bigger stores. So the bigger Joanne stores carry the desk-made line, and we will be shipping into more of their big stores, which will have a list on the website with those products of which stores carry them, so maybe you can find one near you. Conveniently, Janice, thanks for asking, on the home page of our website and is a little slider bar, and one of the sliders, if you click on it, it'll take you to links to all of those stores. So if you would like us to be in one of the stores in your area, and you click on the link and you click on the email and you send an email that says, hey, we'd love to have TT products in your stores, that's a great way to let the buyers know that people are out there and they're interested. So please do that. Also, I just got an email this morning from the buyer at Michael's who is asking me for a list of our top 10 items, and they're going to give us kind of a trial run on the michaels.com website. So that's not in stores, obviously, but you could pick it up. I think Michael's probably offers pickup in store for those items as well, and then so if they do well online, then they'll probably add more and add them in the store. But please feel free to email the buyer at Michael's, Joanne's, Hobby Lobby, AC Moore, and say, hey, we'd love to see these products in your store. And it's also helpful to them if they know what you're talking about. So if you say, you know, I'd love to be able to buy scrap rack products, or I'd love to buy paper storage or whatever along with the brand, that's helpful. So thank you so much for asking about that. We would love to be in a retailer near you and make it easy for you to go in and pick up what you need and be able to see things and touch things before you actually buy them. So, all right, answered all the questions. I'm back to this week's challenge. So very first thing you're going to do is create your big benefits board. You're going to read the 4-section system article. If you have questions about the 4-section system, or you're not sure where something goes, get on the Facebook group or email us and we'll answer that for you. Read the What Type of Crafter Are You blog post and kind of get your brain around the types of storage products and space that you should use. One thing about space, which I usually talk about with Organized Only, and I didn't talk about it this time, is a lot of times when we talk about space, less is more, right? So one of the things I want you to keep in mind as you're organizing your crafting space is the closer you can bring everything to you, the easier it is to use. The easier it is to use, the more likely it is that you're actually going to use it. So you can see my crafting space is a U-shaped, right? I've got this space here and the stuff back here on the shelf. My scrap rack and my other stuff is on wheels, and I can just pull it to me, and now, just like I pulled this in, right? I've got a paper cart right here. All this stuff is right within reach, and I can push it out of the way when I'm trying to escape, I guess, my craft space. But when I'm crafting, I can literally bring everything in around me. So keep that in mind when you're if you're redesigning or reworking your space. It's not necessarily best if you have, you know, a 12 by 14 foot room to spread things all around the perimeter of the room. It might be better to put things on wheels and gather things in, or go vertically, which is kind of always one of my things. You know, whatever little cart you have that's going to hold your supplies and be able to come in and go where you go is really a key to being able to craft more and look for stuff less. All right. Create your themed sentiments index. Take a few before pictures. Gather all your stuff. Gather your stuff before you take your pictures. Set your purge goals. Evaluate your space. Create an organized only space. Create your widget notebook. Join the 2011 Get Organized Challenge group on Facebook. Somehow there's a second group that has a Get Organized Challenge name that is not us. If you go to that group and you don't see the lineup of the craft room girls at the top, then you're at the wrong group. So type in, if you're looking for the group, 2011 Get Organized Challenge, as if it was all one word, and the right group will pop up. You do have to request admission to the group, but we're pretty good about checking that regularly, so you won't have to wait. There's no rules for it. We're just trying to block the people who try to get in the group and sell sunglasses and whatever other weird things are out there on the internet. Remember that you want to go public. You want to tell somebody or tell everybody what you're doing and ask them to ask you about it. Then once you've made some progress this week, before close of business Monday night, because Karen does the drawing Tuesday mornings, you want to get your progress posts up. If you're not on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, title your post progress post. If you're not on Facebook, you're just going to email customer service at totally-tiffany.com and put progress post in the subject line, and then Karen will get you into the drawing. For that, you don't want to miss. And then celebrate by enjoying your reward. And this is really, really important, right? So don't underestimate the value of getting what you're working for, of taking advantage of getting that reward. You earned it, you deserve it. So definitely take advantage of it. All right, if you have questions throughout the week, you can email us. You can get on the Facebook group. There's almost, with 18,000 plus people in there, there's almost always somebody that'll answer your question quickly who's already participated in the challenge. But we'll also monitor Facebook and of course email. We also have a phone number, 253-284-9200, and we do answer our phone here as well. So everybody, I hope you have a super productive week. Start your widget notebook. Keep moving forward with all of the challenge day by day, and we will see you next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in.